Yeah, you don't have a mic?
Got directional.
Okay, all right, cool.
So yeah, with the resurgence in the popularity with the Big Pyramid and the large void in the Big Pyramid, what are your thoughts on this? Is this going to give us any real answers?
Well, you know, it's always questionable what the actual government will allow us to know and learn. At the end of the day, Egypt, they're, how can I say this? If you find the right people and you can take care of them in the right ways, you know, sometimes you get a little special access. But that area is so important, and it's got a lot of government agencies from around the world taking a look at it, including NASA.
Wow.
Yeah. And so because of its astrological and astronomical influence and connections, they have a vested interest in it as well, which can make it a little hard for the general population to get all the real data, okay? And so they also own access to the interior of the King's Chamber, NASA. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we're talking about big time, big money, big government, and why do they want access to these places, and why do they want to control the flow of information coming out of them? So it's like, will the general public ever get the true knowledge or the true information as to what that void is above the King's Chamber? It's possible, but the percentage of that being real is very small, unless somehow one of us can work a deal with the government directly and find the right sources to take care of to get in there and get the information and data ourselves before it gets wiped away and taken out. Now, we don't even know if it's still in there.
That actually leads me directly into the next question. So the people, like, there's so many theories about what it could be, what it does, who made it, but what's some advice for viewers who want to study this on their own and get to the truth on their own, that hit roadblocks? What can we do to get to the truth? What various ways can we do research?
Well, it's, you know, the ancient text, you know, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth mentions this hall of records hidden in a couple of places. One is underneath the Sphinx, one is inside the pyramid itself. And I believe that is one location where some of his ancient records have been kept. It's amazing that this stuff is talked about in text that some people are trying to say is just made up, but at the same time, it keeps revealing amazing things like the underground area beneath the Great Pyramid and Khafre pyramids that I talked about 5.5 years ago. And I said go on for miles, and then what do they say? I'm here now with Armando May and Filippo Biondi, and they have the technology that found those areas underneath that going for miles. And so we keep coming up with these new discoveries, and I believe that you know, this area could be an area that has remnants of some of the technology that was possibly even used to build the area or that region, that whole, you know, civilization, the ancient Kemet civilization before it became ancient Egypt. I believe that it also will tell us the real age.
Right.
The pyramid itself, I believe, is somewhere between 60 to 70,000 years old, potentially, maybe even older. And if we get, general population, if we get access to that data, all of a sudden it changes their whole narrative they've been pushing on us. Their agenda has a pivot. And everything that they've written about the pyramid, all the university books and everything else has to be just burned. And they don't want that to happen. And so, but I really do believe that there is something in there that potentially could have been taken out by now.
Yeah, that's what we're all worried about.
Yeah.
I think the ship is still down there, apparently.
Well, underneath the Sphinx's paw, I was speaking at Conscious Life Expo 2016, California. I did the post-conference lecture, which was 3.5 hours, and it was about the Sphinx and Giza. In the audience, the gentleman that was the producer for the Discovery Show that was going to go live and release what they found underneath the Sphinx's paw, the data. And right when that show was getting ready to air, I was sitting there at the edge of my seat waiting to watch it. This is before the conference, obviously. And it said, boom, black screen. This show has been canceled. It was alive.
They were going to release the data for real?
The private company who had got the TV deal, who was going through, and at the last minute, somebody came in and said, no, this has to end now. And right when it was going live, after commercial break, black screen, this show has been canceled.
That's the same thing that happened with Zahi Hawass and the Osiris shaft, am I correct?
Yes, correct.
Same exact thing.
Same
they were going
exact
to do a
thing.
special on it, and they pulled it.
Pulled it. And so, a couple years later, I'm doing that conference I told you about, Conscious Life Expo, California, Los Angeles Airport Hilton. The producer for that show is sitting in the front row. And he goes, because I mentioned it, I said, I'm the producer for the show. He had his business card, credentials, everything. And he told me that he's got a gag order, so he can't talk about it. But they pulled it. They pulled it. Why? Because they know there's something down there that's massive, about a mile down, and it's quite possible that they've already dug a side shaft or found a shaft connecting, and they've already began taking it apart and reassembling it somewhere else. Yeah.
So the things that Zahi Hawass did with drilling in, do you think that was for show?
Yeah,
Think so?
It's all for show. I mean, Zahi Hawass is like he's like a bad actor.
Yeah.
You know, and everything he does is to take claim and credit, and also he's working for somebody behind the scene to obfuscate and hide and suppress the real information.
So one last thought, where can we get real information? How do we study it? How do we research it? How do we find
The
it?
best way is to do it yourself.
Right.
I take people on tours every year. This year I have 95 people coming to Egypt with me. We're going to be in the field, getting our hands dirty, touching the stones, measuring stuff, and using Geiger counters to check for background radiation, using EMF detectors and all these things, measurements and tools, magnetometers, and to check the magnetic fields. We're doing it all ourselves, because we want to find the answers for ourselves instead of relying on some mainstream government or mainstream scientists to show up and say, hey guys, this is what we've got. We're doing the research. So become part of a group like the ones I take on tour, so that you can get out there in the field yourself and get the discoveries firsthand, and then you'll have the knowledge. That's the best thing we can do.
You think we're making progress?
For sure we're making progress. I mean, in the last 5 years, I would say some of the discoveries I've seen and connected to ancient texts and ancient past have been incredible. Even the Serapeum, I connected it to one of the halls of Amenti, written about in the ancient tablets. And when I stand in there now, all I see is a giant machine that's designed to preserve bodies, not gigantic sarcophagi to store cow bones, which is a big lie.
Sorry.
Right? So, I mean, what they tell us is ridiculous. So, and the more I research and the more I go there, the more I find out, the more I can connect the dots. And I really believe that we're making some real advancements in understanding, yes, human beings are responsible for the construction process, but just like at any construction site, you have a master architect, never gets his hands dirty. You have the engineer, and you have a foreman, and then you have the workers underneath that. And so at some point we did have this scenario, but the people at the top, they were advanced beings. And the people at the bottom, they were the worker bees. They weren't slaves. The Anunnaki, I believe, were the people with the master architects and the engineer and the foreman potentially could have been part Anunnaki, part not, or maybe one of these Igigi that are talked about in the Epic of Atrahasis. But the workers themselves, yeah, they were people, and they weren't slaves. They did it to honor the gods.
Just average citizens.
Average citizens. Because we found the records that they got paid, some of them. They got, when they had broken bones and stuff, so forth, they got their medical. It shows that they were treated. You don't do that for slaves.
Right.
Let's just throw one away and get another one to take its place. The payrolls were found in some of the temples around Giza. So yeah, these people worked because they wanted to do it. Yeah.
Well, when's your tour? Let's give a shout out.
Tour, I have a tour coming up in a couple of days, but the next one is 2026, July 2026 and October 2026. 2 tours in 2026, and then another one in 2027 in July for the eclipse tour, the solar eclipse. So they can go to 4bidknowledge.com and go to tours and come on out. Let's have a good time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, man. I
No
appreciate
problem.
you. Thanks for your time, man.
All right, man.
Look forward to it.